All right, thanks for purchasing a Twilight Blind. The goal of this video is to get you set up as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. It's a big investment and we want to make sure and take care of it by setting it up properly. So the first step is it's going to come in 3 separate boxes like you see here. And we're going to get the work area prepped, lay down a tarp. Highly recommend that so that you don't lose fasteners as you're working on this thing. We're going to get started. All right, we've unboxed everything and carefully organized it on a 12 by 16 foot tarp to keep everything clean and handy. As you can see, the fasteners are here as well. We also have a 12 by 16 tarp set up underneath our sawhorses. That's to help prevent us from losing any fasteners, etc. Take an edge piece and the center piece, turn them upside down to where these tabs are pointing downward. And then attach the edge piece to the center piece. All right, our next step is to take the long splice tubes that also have the platform leg attachment points on them and the short splice tubes and attach them to the 3 parts of the floor platform. When attaching the long splice tubes, be sure to pair the A and the B that are stamped on the platform with the A and the B that are stamped on the splice tubes. The tower legs must angle out and away from the platform once installation is complete. Next, attach the short splice tubes to the platform, ensuring that they are centered across the platform middle section and the platform end sections. Once the platform sections and the splice tubes have been loosely connected, tighten all platform assembly fasteners. Please use caution to not over-tighten. Bending the metal of the assembly is a sure sign of over-tightening. For step 3, we'll connect the stair landing to the platform. The stair landing extension tubes are noticeably shorter than the short splice tubes that were installed in the previous step. The stair landing can be installed on either side of the platform. Tighten the fasteners on the platform side before attaching the stair landing. Install the stair landing with the ladder attachment points facing away from the platform and tighten all fasteners once complete. Again, please use caution to not over-tighten. For step 4, we'll flip the fully assembled platform on the sawhorses so that the platform wall tabs are now facing up. Locate your 8 bottom wall tubes that can be identified by the tapered end on one side. Then, loosely attach the bottom wall tubes to the platform wall tabs. Do not tighten these fasteners. There is a blind hole, which means it doesn't go all the way through the tube, about 8 inches up from the bottom of the wall tubes. This blind hole should face inward when properly installed. For step 5, you'll slip the ends of the top wall tubes that don't have any holes in them over the tapered ends of the bottom wall tubes. For step 6, you'll attach the lower wall braces, starting at the lowest available bolt hole on the lower wall tube. The 8 wall braces are identical and interchangeable. When viewed from outside, these braces should angle down to the right. Do not tighten the fasteners at this time. We're going to start into window installation at this point. There's 2 different styles of window. 4 vertical windows for the blind and 3 horizontal windows for the blind. We're gonna go ahead and install all 4 verticals next in the narrow section of the walls of the blind. It's important to note that they can go either way, but we personally recommend that you install them to where they open toward the door. Basically, all the windows should open toward the door for maximum shooting opportunities. In this case, we've already established the door's location by attaching the landing. So we want to install this window where it's going to open toward the door and the hinges need to be on the inside of the blind. Be sure to leave the window fasteners finger tight at this point. All wall and roof assembly fasteners will be tightened at one time once the frame is fully assembled. For step 8, you'll attach the upper wall braces, starting at the highest available bolt hole on the upper wall tube. The 8 wall braces are identical and interchangeable. When viewed from outside, these top wall braces should angle up to the right. Again, do not tighten the fasteners at this time. For step 9, you'll attach the 3 horizontal window assemblies to the wall tubes. Orient the windows so that they open inward and upward. Do not install a window in the space above the stair landing. This is where you will install your door in the next step. Attach the door header tube to the top wall tubes above the stair landing. Be sure to orient the half-round attachment tabs upward. Do not tighten the fasteners. Attach the door frame to the door header tube on the top and to the platform on the bottom. Tighten all 4 door frame bolts and the 2 door header tube bolts before moving to the next step. Take care to not over-tighten. To install the door handle, you'll first need to remove all the fasteners and hardware from the assembly, including the small Phillips head screws and star washers. After doing so, slide the threaded portion of the door handle through the larger hole in the fabric, and then secure the assembly to the door frame with the 2 small Phillips head screws and star washers. Next, thread one of the jam nuts onto the threaded portion of the door handle and follow that with one of the large diameter star washers. This jam nut will be used to set the depth of the door latch, so be prepared to adjust this in or out as needed to properly latch the door. Slip the door latch onto the threaded assembly by aligning the flat side of the threads with the flat side on the latch. Then slide the remaining large diameter star washer onto the threaded stud and thread the remaining jam nut on to complete the assembly. Adjust the jam nuts in or out as necessary to achieve the desired tension on the door latch when the door is closed. Once desired fit is achieved, tighten the jam nuts. For step 13, you'll connect the 2 long sections of the roof eave with the 2 short sections of the roof eave. Tighten all fasteners before proceeding to the next step and do not over-tighten. Attach the 4 short roof rafters to the center of the long sections of the roof eave assembly. Tighten these before moving to the next step, using care to not over-tighten. Attach the roof hub to the 4 short rafters, ensuring that there are 2 open holes in the hub between each rafter connection point. The roof hub should be snugly attached to the short rafters, but not completely tightened at this point. Using the remaining open holes in the roof hub, snugly attach the long rafters, but do not fully tighten. Note that the rounded ends of the long rafters are not connected to anything at this point, and that they can be slid back and forth in the slotted hole of the roof hub. Set the roof assembly on top of the wall tubes, using care to align the roof eave tabs with the top of the wall tubes. Loosely attach the long rafters and the roof eave tabs to the wall tubes. Do not tighten the fasteners at this time. Tighten all wall and roof fasteners, beginning with the lowest level and working your way upward to the roof connection bolts. Do not exceed 50 inch-pounds of torque for this step or any other in the assembly. Once all fasteners are properly tightened, the frame of the blind will be incredibly solid and ready for the next steps. All right, now that the frame is fully assembled, it's time for us to put the wall fabric on. In this case, we've got muddy, wet ground, so we're gonna actually hang it on these elastic hooks as we move our way around, and then we'll have to come back through and align it on the Velcro because it's very important that it matches up perfectly on the Velcro around all the windows and the door frame. At the very end, there's a big zipper that connects this thing. It's incredibly tight. It's very hard to get started unless you carefully pull all the slack out of the fabric. So we're gonna get started on that step right now. To begin, unroll the fabric and align it properly. The black rectangle concealment panels face outward, and the Velcro strips that are sewn along one edge of the fabric face downward. Beginning with the door panel, attach the 2 upper wall fabric bungees by wrapping them over the top of the roof eave and hooking them in the wall tubes. Repeat the process for each wall section as you work your way around the blind. Carefully align and attach the Velcro around the entire perimeters of the door and each of the 7 windows. Continue to remove all slack by working the fabric toward the zipper from each side until you are able to connect the zipper. The zipper is always difficult to connect the first time. You'll complete this step a lot easier with patience and finesse versus relying on brute strength. Please remember that all zippers can fail when they are pulled too hard. Protect your investment and take your time with this step. Gently tip the blind up on its side and attach the wall Velcro around the edges of the platform. Then secure the lower wall fabric bungees by wrapping them around the bottom edge of the platform and back up through the wire mesh and hooking them into the bottom wall tubes. Keep these bungees as close to the wall tubes or platform as possible to make room for the floor mat. Identify the center point of the platform and wrap the loop end of the long portion of the strap around this center point. Ensure that you wrap the strap around the tube. Do not attach directly to the wire mesh. Place the floor mat inside the blind and align it with the platform cutouts for the door frame and the wall tubes. Secure the mat to the platform with the attached tie downs. Install the wall safety straps by wrapping the external strap around the bottom edge of the platform and back up through the wire mesh of the platform and through the slit in the floor mat fabric. Buckle the external and internal straps together above the floor mat and tighten these straps. Spread the blind roof fabric over the top of the roof assembly with the softer sided diamond-shaped pattern facing inward. Align the fabric to match the buckles on each corner of the roof and snap them together. Once all buckles are snapped, tighten the adjustment straps to snug the roof down onto the walls. Do not over-tighten these buckles. Complete the assembly by attaching the Velcro on the roof to the roof rafters. All right, at this point, we have the blind fully built. So now we're down to the tower and the tower components. This is the most important part when it comes to safety, both during use and setup. So you want to pay careful attention to the instructions at this point. The components that you're going to be using and referring to at this point consist of the cross braces, which are 2 nested pieces of tubing, the splice angles, which are used to connect the legs together, and then finally the adjustable feet to make sure that when the blind is set up, you can level it. There's going to be 4 leftover splice angles, and those are used for the ladder to connect the 2 pieces of the ladder together. So don't worry about those. If you see them left over, they're going to go to the ladder. Taking care to match the A and B sections with each other, attach the top sections of the tower legs to the bottom sections using the splice angles. As long as the holes line up and there are 2 splice angles per connection point, you have done this step correctly. Tighten the splice angles in an alternating pattern to ensure proper leg alignment. Slide an adjustable foot into each of the 2 tower legs that don't already have a foot, using care to align the ground stake hole in the foot away from the tabs and brackets that are used to attach the cross bracing to the tower legs. Pre-adjust the tower leg length with the adjustable foot to match the terrain you are setting the tower up on. If the terrain is flat, simply match the length of the 2 fixed length tower legs. To assemble the cross bracing, slide the smaller tube into the larger tube and align the connection holes. Use the holes that are 3 inches away from the ends of the tubes for this step. Tighten fasteners as you go, using care to not over-tighten. Gently lay the blind on its side. Then, lift the edge of the platform 16 to 20 inches and place the edge of the platform on a safe, stable object that will hold the blind at an angle while the legs are installed. Attach the tower legs using care to align A and B tower legs with A and B platform attachment locations. Cross brace connector tabs and brackets should be positioned on the inside of the legs or toward the center of the platform. It's important to note the following. Each tower leg has 4 cross bracing attachment points, 2 upper and 2 lower. The cross bracing attachment tabs or brackets are designed to connect the cross brace tubes in an X pattern on each side of the tower. Tower legs are long, heavy objects that act as strong levers when pulled or pushed. Please use care when attaching cross bracing to avoid damaging parts. There is no preferred order for attaching the bracing to the legs, nor is there a preferred orientation for whether the larger tube or the smaller tube portion of each cross brace is pointed up or down. We recommend installing fasteners so that they point toward the center of the blind to avoid snagging on your clothing when moving around the completed tower setup. Loosely attach one end of a cross brace piece to the cross bracing attachment tab of the tower leg. You can start with an upper or lower attachment point. Loosely attach the other end of the cross brace piece to the cross bracing attachment tube of the tower leg on the opposite side and at the opposite elevation. Repeat this process until all 8 cross braces are loosely installed and you have created an X shape between the tower legs on all 4 sides. Tighten all fasteners using care to avoid over-tightening. Lift the platform off of the object you've been using to keep the blind at an angle for the tower leg installation step. Gently set the blind back down and note that at this point, the blind is propped up on 2 of the tower legs on one end and the upper part of the wall of the blind on the other end. Before uprighting the blind, it is very important to note the following. The completed blind and tower assembly is very top-heavy. Please consider this whether using machinery or manpower to upright the completed unit. For these instructions, we outline the steps necessary when using manpower versus machinery. If using machinery, all safety warnings and precautions apply. 5 individuals are required to stand the blind upright. We recommend 3 individuals to lift, starting at the roof, and 2 individuals to help prevent the tower legs from skidding as the blind is being rotated upward. Always use ground stakes to anchor the 2 tower feet that will be used as pivot points during the uprighting process. Drive ground stakes into the ground for both tower feet that the blind will be pivoted over during the uprighting process. Drive these stakes in at an angle that prevents the tower feet from skidding during stand-up while ensuring they won't bind with the tower legs as they pivot. Establish uprighting positions for all 5 teammates. The bracing and lowering team should have an individual positioned on each of the staked down tower feet locations. These individuals will be acting as an additional factor of safety by bracing the tower feet with their own foot in the event that the stakes attempt to become dislodged as the unit is pivoted upright. For the lifting team, you will position 3 individuals where the roof and the upper edge of the wall are resting on the ground. Once all positions have been established and filled, the lifting team will hoist and pivot the assembly in unison up to the point where the assembly is balanced on the 2 tower legs that are staked to the ground. When the unit hits the balance point, the bracing and lowering team should move from the pivot feet to the tower legs that remain in the air. We also recommend that one member of the lifting team joins the bracing and lowering team to help gently lower the tower legs onto the ground. Always use caution to avoid putting pressure on the cross bracing during the uprighting process. And always be gentle with the completed tower and blind to protect your investment. You can level the blind by moving the adjustable feet or by digging holes for the platform feet. You should always seek to keep the Twilight Blind and tower as level as possible. Attach the upper and lower sections of the ladder together using the 4 remaining splice angles. Tighten splice angle fasteners as you go using an alternating pattern to ensure proper ladder tubing alignment. Firmly attach the ladder assembly to the stair landing, using care to not over-tighten. Loosely attach the handrails to each side of the stair landing. Loosely connect the handrail braces to each side of the stair landing and the handrails. Tighten all handrail fasteners, using care not to over-tighten. Using downward force, drive the earth anchor into the ground at the center point between the tower legs by twisting it clockwise with a cheater pipe. Try to keep the earth anchor straight up and down, and be sure to set it deep enough so that no more than 6 inches of the shaft and eye are showing when finished. Drive all 6 ground stakes into their full depth on each tower leg and the 2 legs of the ladder. Attach the safety ratchet strap to the eye of the earth anchor by threading the ratchet portion through the eye of the anchor and back through the loop in the end of the strap. Ensure that this step creates a tight wrap around the eye of the anchor. Then, thread the end of the strap that is connected to the platform above through the ratchet that is connected to the earth anchor below. Tighten ratchet to desired tension and avoid deforming the platform with this step. The strap should be taut, but does not need to be over-tightened. Before you remove the protective film from the windows, unthread and remove the window knob. Then, use a sharp tool to carefully trim around all hinges and window attachment points. Gently peel the protective film off of the window and discard it. Reinstall the window knob once all protective film has been removed. At this point, you're ready to hunt, so load the blind up with snacks and beverages of your choice, settle into a comfortable chair, and get ready for action. Thank you for purchasing the Twilight Blind, and best of luck on all your future hunts.